Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we want to wrap up now. I can see you guys are busy networking. Stop networking, John. Okay, so I love this moment. I love what we're going to do right now. Right now is about examples. And I have two good friends here who are running a business. Actually, they started business in February this year and are doing amazing. A small business, they're daring. I know Gary's going to talk about daring tonight. I want to bring on stage James and Matt of Rustling Coffee. Can we have the other mic, please? So, James and Matt are co-owners of Rustling Coffee, and okay, thank you. Anyone? I think this is on mute. No, it's not on mute. Anyone who knows me here know I love coffee, and yeah, someone said yes. And okay, the other beverage I like, I'm not going to say right now. These guys started the business in February. It's February, right?
Yeah, February.
Yeah.
February 24th.
Yeah, and I popped in there. I think they were offering £1 coffee on the street, and I'm like, okay, this coffee is too good for £1. So I popped in. Became friendly, and got to know about the business. And I want them to share the story with you, so that you can see that anyone in here who decides to take the risk or take the challenge and start a business can really do it. And sometimes it's about identifying the right partner to work with. And I know you guys get on very well, and you're like a family in there, and I'm like a brother.
Yeah.
So
straight up.
yeah, brother from a different mother. So what I would like you to do now is to share your experience with us. First and foremost, tell us how you and Matt got together to start Rustling Coffee, and what you did before actually starting Rustling.
Yeah, well, maybe to step back before we started working together, and how we both sort of gravitated towards this business. Supporting local and supporting independence has always been something that it's been important to me. And I guess that's how I've sort of ended up naturally gravitating towards this industry. I was working in live music events with a company called Live Nation here in the UK, but I couldn't really see how that was going to get me towards that area that I just said, which I was interested in. So I ended up relocating to Melbourne, Australia, just get dual citizenship, and it was one of those things. I've always been a bit of a nomad, and it was a case of, if I don't go down there now, I don't think I ever will do. And for those of you who've been to Melbourne, they take their coffee very seriously there. And it was when I was down there, that coffee I guess the cornerstone of the community in Melbourne is the cafe, and the cornerstone of the cafe is coffee. So it made sense to me to sort of gravitate towards that. I joined a roastery called Five Senses, bit of a blag to get in there. It's actually one of the leading coffee roasters in the world, and that became my apprenticeship. And that's where I learned a lot more about coffee and that industry. And it was the standard of these coffee shops in Australia, these cafes and these espresso bars, from what I understood of the UK market, it wasn't something that was there at the time. So it was just a case of getting in and trying to understand that a little bit better. As I said, Five Senses became my apprenticeship. I came back to the United Kingdom and joined up with a roastery called Caravan, which is where I ended up working with Matt. And where we learned a little bit more about the UK market and identified sort of where those gaps were, and maybe where we could, I guess, take advantage of those gaps a little bit.
Hello. So James spoke a little bit about Melbourne. That is my hometown. You can probably hear it in my accent. I've been over here for 3 years, but as James mentioned, the hospitality scene in general in Australia is kind of a level above, or a couple of levels above, the hospitality scene here. So that was kind of where the idea started. That was where my experience started. You know, I did my degree in exercise science, business management, and left that, did some consultancy, and just sat behind a computer 9 to 5 and just didn't enjoy it at all. So while I was studying, I was making coffee, and it's just an extremely exciting environment to work in. A cafe, you've all been to cafes, quite busy cafes, and that was something that I missed. So I left that and then started working back in a cafe. Had a couple of nice opportunities back in Melbourne to potentially do something like I'm doing now, but just thought I needed to travel the world and kind of get out of Australia. Australia is a great place, Melbourne is a great place, quite biased towards it, but it is pretty far away. So had to come over here and just take a risk, as Chiz has been talking about. So that was, you know, pretty big risk, leaving a comfortable life in Melbourne, uprooting myself and moving to London. It was quite difficult, but the opportunity, you know, that's come about from doing that has been phenomenal. So James mentioned I got a job at Caravan. That's where I met James. So James was my boss. Now we're business partners. And yeah, we kind of hatched the plan slowly as we worked together. We kind of, you know, we're nudging each other on each other's backs and saying, do you want to do something? And, you know, the idea grew from there. So that's kind of the backstory in a bit of a nutshell. We saw the opportunity that these cafes in Melbourne were doing quite well. And the opportunity was to kind of bring a little bit of that over here. And
that's amazing. That's amazing. Now, hold that thought on risk, taking the risk. Now, you guys took a massive risk. Now, where you got your coffee shop located is next to one of the biggest brand, Cafe Nero.
Yeah, so there's two
Were you
A1
not scared about
sites.
doing that? I mean, next to Cafe Nero, then you think, okay, how are we going to sell?
Well, I mean, they're incredibly busy every day. So, and we like to think we're incredibly busy. We are quite busy. It's doing quite well, you know. Last week was our busiest week ever. This week will be even busier than that. And there's a queue out the door, which is phenomenal, but there's also a queue out the door of Nero. So to me, that just shows the opportunity. It shows the market share. You know, it's massive. You know, and we like to think that people won't really go from Nero to us. So people will leave Nero and come to us, but people won't leave us and go to Nero just because of the quality gap and the kind of hospitality that we're offering.
You know, I like that bit because in terms of hospitality, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a fan of these guys, whenever I get in there, okay, I have someone in there who can also confirm this as well, yes. It's amazing, the staff, they're amazing, hospitality is great, and that's why I keep coming back. And I'll tell you guys a little secret. Okay, I was there pretty much every day, and we signatured a coffee together called, what was it called again?
So as everyone knows Chiz, or if you don't know Chiz, he's a very big personality. He first walked into our cafe and I think he hugged every member of our team about 5 times before we even knew his name. We've nicknamed him the Chisel for obvious reasons. He's very well-dressed, very sharp guy. But yeah, so long story short, we did, it's called a Chiz and Tonic. So it is on the menu. So it is actually a very tasty drink. It's just like tonic water, so Fever Tree tonic water with a double espresso on top. It's a popular drink. So
yeah, it was my favorite drink this summer.
Yeah, it's a good summer drink. It's normally just kind of espresso tonic. We just could put a little bit of a spin on it.
And you see, that makes a difference with any brand, any business. And most times we want to get into business in an environment where other businesses, are operating. And it's about being different. And you guys took it to the next level by being pretty much the name of all your customers, and that makes a big difference. And talking about, the team, the environment, you got a great team. And I've seen the staff, and I've seen the service. And also sometimes you do have guest baristas who come from all over to feature. How has that been, or how has that influenced, the success of your business so far in terms of having partnerships that help you?
Well, just to briefly go back to the previous point with regards to Cafe Nero and moving in beside them. Like, it's a great company in its own way. They do their own thing, but we're a very different coffee shop to Nero. We service a different part of the market. So being in the same building, it almost served to show the sort of yin and the yang, I guess, as to what they are and what we are. And what we are is paying a massive amount of attention to all the little details on buying. We buy some of the most expensive coffee in the world. We're working on a £20,000 coffee machine. So like the coffee and the attention to detail is incredibly important to us. But you talk about partnerships. The most important thing is the service that we give to our customers, and that can only be communicated obviously through the people that we have in the shop and the team that we've created there, and the partnership through that. And it very much is a partnership. I mean, we talk about that team. They're not working for us, as corny as that is and as cliche as it is that they're working with us. But as you've alluded to there, and if you look at our reviews on Google, they'll all mention about the level of service and that connection with the people in the shop. The partnership also goes on the other side of the counter as well. I mean, we've become part of people's days, like your day, or people on the way through to work, and that partnership goes with them. So if we're not on our game, if we're not maintaining standards in terms of quality or in terms of speed, it affects their day. It has a knock-on to their day. We've become part of the community in that area in a small period of time. So, like, again, I've been too corny about it or anything. It's we very much see that partnership throughout the shop, from the team that we have behind the counter through to the customers on the other side of the counter.
I can very much confirm that, and that's amazing what you guys are doing. And I'm sure the question on most people's mind is, I mean, especially those who want to start a business, is what have been some of your biggest challenges so far, or how have you overcome some of your biggest challenges to being where you are today, and also where you're going, because I know you have plans for the future.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're only 8 months old, so we're not going to stand like there's great people here on the panel who've got phenomenal experience and great achievements throughout their career. We've only been going 8 months, so those challenges that we've faced are still the ones that we are facing. One of the ones that we are facing is that level of admin, that back-end admin. We're trying to solve that by outsourcing certain things. I think that you were going to say something about various hats that you have to wear.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest, I suppose, task is, it's not, my background was making coffee, head barista, and looking after a small little team, but owning your own business it's incredibly much more than that. It's not just coming in, making a delicious flat white, although we do that. It's a lot more than that. Some member of the team will come up and, she'll be having he or she will have some personal issues, and they'll need to chat, and it's kind of, I almost feel like, because I manage the shop day to day, it's almost like I'm a coach in there. I'm coaching these guys, and I've kind of thrown myself in there. So, like James said, we're kind of coming up against these things on a day-to-day basis. We're 8 months, 9 months old, and we are just kind of figuring it out. And I think we chat about things. We have our weekly meetings. We stick to it. But hospitality, it's a grueling industry. It's very kind of customer focused. You have to be in the shop, and you have to be on your game, and you have to be like, you can't be on your computer. You can't be getting back to emails. It's 12 hours on your feet, talking to people. Making coffee. You can't be doing the back end while you're working on the floor. And that's the beauty of having two of us. But yeah, it's just the kind of the number of different things that you have to do on a day-to-day basis. Get home tonight after being up at 4:30, and there's 60 unread emails in my inbox, but they're not going to go away. So it's just the vast majority of just tasks that need to be done. And it's week in, week out. If you get your inbox cleared on a Sunday on your day off, the next Sunday there's going to be 200 more in there. They don't stop coming. So, but yeah, we're figuring it out.
That's great. That's great. And one thing you said there is, as CEOs or owners of businesses, you wear multiple hats. You're going to be the administrator. You're going to be the account accountant, sometimes the bookkeeper and all that stuff. And it's important that you have you're multi-skilled that way, because when you start to outsource, you know what to expect, as well. And lastly, one last question, and to anyone who's out there who's in the process of starting a business or on their way and all that stuff, what would be your advice to these lovely ladies and gentlemen out here?
Get a business partner. Like, it's great. We work really well together. We met at our previous jobs, like I mentioned. But it's just, I suppose it comes down to accountability. Someone's got to be there to meet you at 6 a.m. Before you start work. It's hard to get up, and have that solo meeting and kind of plan your day. But if you got something in the diary for Monday morning at 7 a.m. at the Ace Hotel, he's going to be there. Am I going to show up? Yeah, I am going to show up. And I did show up, and he did show up, and that's how we kind of got started. So find yourself a business partner. That's my tip.
And you, James, any advice to anyone out there?
For me, it would be more so, well, that too, obviously. Concentrating on the process has been really important for us. Like, we didn't concentrate on opening an espresso bar in the centre of London. We concentrated on raising funding or getting the brand in place. Then we concentrated on getting the site and concentrating on the team. Do you know what I mean? Like, instead of, and even today, tomorrow, we're not concentrating on being a busy espresso bar. We're concentrating on making sure the place is clean, or that we're giving good customer service. We spoke about rugby there a couple of minutes ago. There's an Irish sports psychologist who he coaches the Irish rugby team, and he was saying about not worrying about scoring that try, concentrating on the process of getting to that try, be that your positioning or learning the plays or whatnot. And I ring Matt's ear off about that. Like, don't worry about this, that, or the other. Worry about how we're going to get it done. So that concentrating on the process has been a big thing for us, I think.
Yeah, there was exactly with the process. One thing I'd like to add, it was someone once said to me, "How do you sell 1,000 coffees?" And I said, "Sell one at a time. It's focused on one at a time. Learn Chiz's name. Chiz has a large filter. He works in the road. He works with Teddy. He works with Ronnie.
They know my brand."
Yeah, so that's what we say to the guys. We will sell 1,000 a day. It's coming, and it is. It's just focused on one at a time.
That's great, guys. You hear it. You have an example of a business in progress, and the future is looking great for them. And I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. I'm sorry. I know they're going to set up, but they're looking to set up a new branch in London sometime soon. So please, Rosling Coffee, follow them, say thank you, and God bless. Okay, we want to wrap things up now. Thank you very much, guys, for pretty much staying the length of this, and we saved the best for last. We're going to get Garry Jones on stage. I say no more. Let him do his thing. Please welcome Garry.
Thank you very much. I'm Garry Jones. I'm an international speaker. I'm an author. I'm a martial arts master. I run my own Muay Thai boxing gym. I've been in martial arts for 45 years. And I'm a transformational coach, and that's principally what I love the most. I don't like bullshit. I don't know about you. So there's no visual aids. I don't like any aids. I want to get straight to the point on proving some things to you. I want you to leave here today with some gifts, and some of that we're going to do with a practical example. I've recruited a young gentleman down here on one part of it, but just before we get there, there's a person in the room that started this whole thing off tonight as an introduction to Chiz, which is Julian. And Julian is like a brother to me, and like all good brothers, I forgot his piggy birthday. So would you all do me a favour, and as a happy birthday to Julian, would you all give him a round of applause, please? That's not the apology, Julian. I will make it up to you, I promise. So what are we going to do? The first things I want to tell you is share a value of mine. And that value I just call ABC, because then it's easy to remember. It's a little bit like a police model that's something similar, and it goes this way. It's accept nothing, believe nothing, check everything. Now, it sounds quite cynical, but really the check everything is the important part. At a talk where Julian was at a number of years ago, I stood up on a stage in front of a couple hundred people and said, if you want a coach that's talking to angels, find some other. Yeah, we'll edit that bit out, shall we? All right. But within 3 months, I was led in a sarcophagus in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid that we'd hired for 2 hours. And 20 people surrounding me were summoning angels. Now, I still don't believe in angels, to be quite honest, but I believe in energies. And since that trip to Egypt, I believe in a shit lot more as well. So ABC, don't take my word for it. Don't accept anything I'm going to show and tell you tonight. Don't believe anything I show and tell you tonight. But do check out some of the things I'm asking you to join me in doing. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to listen properly. Nobody taught us at school, do it? There's a lot talked about you should really listen to your clients, the people you love. Listen. How? Now, I do a rather strange habit, which is when I'm concentrating, I put my tongue out. And lots of people do that. I have another habit, which is hating people asking me questions I don't have an answer to. So when my wife said, why do you do that? Jesus, that's on a search of research like you wouldn't believe. But like most things, the answer's given to you by somebody else when you don't expect it. So a coaching friend of mine, Jeff Rolls, gave me the answer. When you're thinking, your tongue still moves in your mouth. Your tongue is too big for your mouth. But when we think, it still continues to move. Literally, we're speaking as we're thinking. And while all that is going on, those voices in your head, the chitter-chatter, maybe your voice, somebody else's, we all do it a little bit different, continues. So what I want you to do is this. I want you to place your tongue behind your teeth and imagine there's a little ball of olive oil just behind your teeth. If you push too hard, it'll burst, and if you take it away from there, it'll burst as well. And when you've done that, relax your jaw and notice how much more you notice the change in pitch and volume, my body language, where I'm stood, what I'm doing, the changes that are going on. If you took away today just that one thing and apply it, I promise you, your relationships with people will change. But the thing is, we're human. You'll walk away from here and you'll forget. So I will attempt to remind you a few times throughout the rest of my talk. The next thing I'm going to do before we go into an exercise is when we're up to about 6 or 7 years old, we're in alpha or delta brainwave state. It's how we learn exponentially at that age. And then, of course, we get involved in the education system, and that's knocked out of it because you're told, sit still, shut up, do as you're told, pay attention, and stop wriggling around. So you do. So what I'm going to ask you to do next is wriggle your toes. And immediately you've done that, you've changed your brainwave state. There still exists a neurological pathway from your toes to your frontal cortex. And it will change the blood pressure in your brain to put you into either alpha or delta brainwave state, where you'll learn, because you are about to learn something. So we'll move to the exercise. Julian, could you please help me out? Each of you now, with your tongue behind your teeth, and you've wiggled your toes, because you don't want to do anything stupid. You want to listen carefully. Julian's going to hand out envelopes. On the front of the envelope is a simple word, pain. Pain is the mother of education. Believe me. Leave the envelopes closed for now. That's one of those listening things. If you open the envelope, you're stupid. Well, it's not that you are stupid, you've just done something stupid. But you've proved something to yourself. You've proved, one, I can't listen, and two, I can't obey instructions. You've learned something, that's a good thing. So don't beat yourself up about it. So Julian will hand out the envelopes. Here's what we're going to do. I've done this a number of times, but today I jumped a step ahead. Normally I ask for a volunteer from the group that could hold somebody down that's in pain. But I've already recruited someone. Would you come and join me, sir? Hey. You want to tell everybody your name? It's your opportunity, and it's on film.
Eddie.
What do you do?
I work in financial services as a project manager.
Excellent. You see, but for the next exercise, do you mind if I call you the executioner? I'm going to anyway, so this is the executioner. Because what I'm going to do from insurance purposes, I'd rather somebody else chose a number rather than me. You see, in your envelope is a number. And I'm going to scatter a few things. I'm going to ask you to, actually. In the front of that laptop case is just a load of numbers. Just scatter them all across the stage. We'll make this really random. There we go. There's a few more in there as well, just to make sure we've got every number. And a couple more. That's it, make sure you get all of them. Cool. Okay. So we're going to make this really random. And what we're going to do, the executioner is, in a minute for insurance purposes, he will choose the number. When that number is chosen, bring it across to me. I'll open it up, I'll read out the number. It is imperative you move your asses as quick as you can up onto this stage. Because when you do then, I'm going to apply a pressure point to you. I'm going to knock you unconscious. And while you're unconscious, I'm going to dislocate your arm. Has anybody in here had a dislocated arm? Yeah? What sort of level of pain that is? Is it 0, you're led on a beach, having the time of your life, and 10 is screaming for your mummy? What sort of level is that? Oh, okay, okay. So we all know it's pretty damn painful. So what happens next? I'm going to apply another pressure point to bring the point back of consciousness. Nobody in this room will forget the scream that happens and you take away with you, because you will remember it not only in your brain but in your body, because the body stores emotions and trauma. But it's okay. We'll be very quick. That's why I need your help, because if they struggle a bit too much, I've got to put the arm back in. So we might need just your help to hold them down, because we want to do it really quickly. And then I'll put you unconscious again, whoever that lucky person is. Put the arm back in. I've done it hundreds of times. I've done this talk numerous times. All right? Nothing has gone wrong yet. So we'll put you unconscious, put the shoulder back in. There won't be any lasting damage. I'm not going to put it out to damage tendons or anything like that. I'm really skilled at this. And then we'll put it right. You'll go back to seat and you'll be wonderful. And you can tell everybody the wonderful story later to your kids and your grandkids of how somebody dislocated his shoulder on the stage. So are we ready? Would you like to choose a number for me, please? Thank you. You got insurance? Oh, okay. Okay. All bring your envelopes up towards you, because remember, we need to do this really quickly, okay? So open your envelopes, and the number's 22. If you're 22, get your ass up here now. Quick, 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 quick. Okay. There we go. There's somebody else. Okay, stop. Okay, you can go back to your seats. You can go back to your seats, it's okay. Thank you very much anyway. Okay. Okay. Do you get to edit this after? Do any of you matter if I swear a little bit? What the fucking hell were you doing? What were you doing? A complete stranger that you don't know at all, and you were going to come up and let me dislocate your shoulder. You well, whatever. Did you have your tongue behind your teeth? Okay, right, what's going on, right? And why would I do something like this? What I'm trying to prove to you is the risk is you. You were the risk there. It wasn't me. Some idiot on a stage was saying he's going to dislocate your shoulder, but you were the risk. You came up to have it done to you. You'd already heard that pain is 11 or 10 in pain level. Yeah, do mine. Have mine. Use the shoulder. What? But seriously, this happens to us every day, day in out. The first time I experienced this comes from a great guy called Jamie O'Keefe, really, who wrote a book called Dogs Don't Know Kung Fu. I trained with a good friend of his, Alan Charlton, who's an East Ender that acts like an East Ender. He's about 22 stone. And his martial arts warm-up, he said, right, we're all going to do a warm-up, boys. That'll do. Because he's a monster, yeah. The whole idea is your body changed its chemical composition. You released adrenaline, then noradrenaline, what would have gone on to be cortisol, into your body. How you're behaving, I deal with lots of people with depression, anxiety, and all sorts of issues. And most of it, I begin with the foundation of your chemical composition in your body, taking control of it. And you can. Because we all think, and we've all experienced our life, that our emotions control us. And we respond to it, but it's not true. Even in experiments where it's been questioned, do we smile because we're happy? Or does smiling make us happy? Actually, it's both are true. And the same with your emotions. When that kicked in, your peripheral vision disappeared. We've all been in an accident and everything's just woof, focused and everything slows down. When I'm training elite fighters, particularly in the Muay Thai, when they step into a ring, it's the only legal thing you can do in the UK where somebody can kill you and not go to prison. That's why it appealed to me. And that's why when I was arrested, that was the reason I was arrested. For attempted murder. It was nothing to do with me, and it was all that foul, and I'll clear that up on video straight away. Yeah? But those sort of things, that my perspective changed then. My chemical composition, be arrested for something I hadn't done. But you think, Christ, I could do 25 years here. This happens every day in your life. If we were doing a longer talk, I normally do this in a 45-minute, and we do it all about pleasure all over again to show, well, that's just stress. That's when I'm under stress. That's the way I behave. But it happens under pleasure as well. Life has its ups and downs. Things will come along and knock you about. It'll be the chemicals in your body that decide it. Now, we're going to do some more things to prove that. I said I like to deal things practically, and I like to check everything. Nothing to do with pain now this time. All I want you to do, and we're not going to go happy, clappy American dancing around the room. Please don't do that. Just stand up a little bit. We're going to do a little bit of method acting, if you will, in a way. And all I want you to do is stand up and imagine in your head what a depressed person looks, stands, feels like. So maybe something like this. And literally, everybody hunch your shoulders over a bit, looking down at the ground. And say after me, this is the best speech I've ever been to. And it really isn't convincing, is it? And then I want you to look right up with both arms that way. And look up in particular to your right-hand side. And then say, this is the worst talk I've ever been to. And that's not convincing neither. So what's going on? All right? You can all sit down. Thank you very much for responding. What's going on is, again, release of chemicals into your body. When we're looking at the ground and we're looking down, we shut off the ability to produce serotonin. Serotonin is in your gut. It was already talked earlier about how do you find out you should do business with somebody, the gut feel. Because if all of your intuition, which is just your 5 senses working together consecutively and equal, are working that way, you'll release serotonin. It's produced from the pineal gland, and that looking up to the right-hand side triggers release of serotonin. We don't really know specifically why from science yet, but we know it does. Unlike giving people antidepressants, which give you serotonin, but serotonin that won't cross your brain membrane. Now, there's something that we do with our children. We take the Michael out of them. And no, I'm not going to pout for a selfie. But we take the Michael out of them for reaching that position. Now, the reality of it is, are they addicted to being narcissistic, or are they addicted to serotonin, which is a precursor for dopamine, which is a reward drug? I'd like to think they're addicted to feeling good, and I really don't have a problem with that. Because when they're looking down, looking at the news, and doing this, well then, they're shutting off the serotonin and they don't feel so good. Maybe you should think about where your computer is on your desk and any other items. If you're looking down all the time, you're really not going to feel so good about life or yourself. And your production rate, your business, your relationships, maybe won't be doing as good as they could. Reminders. Wiggle your toes. You learned something. Put your tongue behind your teeth. And now somebody's taught you how to listen properly. If there are any questions, catch me after. Because what happens when people are speaking up on the stage, they love to talk on and on. We're on short time. And as soon as you ask questions, it's another 10 minutes in the talk. I'm Garry Jones. I'm not politically correct. You'll only want to work with me if you like me. I go on the basis that some won't. My mission is to have an impact on 300 million people. My coach before that, I said it was to have a positive impact on 300 million people. And she said, to be honest, Garry, I think if you drop the positive bit, you're probably more likely to reach your target. I'm Garry Jones. Thank you very much for listening properly.
Wow, life science. And I hope that's been useful. We just pretty much got to show that really we are the risk, and by taking care of our internals, who we are on the inside, what makes us up, we can do better in life or in whatever we choose to do. So thank you very much, Garry, for that. And we've come to the end of the event this evening. Now, what I would like us to do now is to give a round of applause to all our speakers tonight and say thank you for sharing this tonight. Thank you so much. What I would like to do now is to share a little bit of experience, because while I was doing this, I talked about giving back. And one of the ways I'm giving back is through our chosen charity of the night, Best Beginnings. And I met Alison, who is the founder and CEO of Best Beginnings, about 3 weeks ago when I was at the book launch of, some supermodel, whatever she's called. Yeah. Her name is, what's her name again? Yeah, Eunice Olumide. Yeah, I didn't really know much about her. It was someone invited me and I went, and Alison spoke about the work they did, the charity, and how that there was it showed a long-term strategy of helping people. And the challenge I have with charities, and most of you do see them on the street, coming to ask for money and stuff like that. I don't give because I don't see how that helps people we're trying to help. So with Best Beginnings, I was able to see data that was shared with me and also how it's impacting life. So I'd like Carly to come on stage and talk about Best Beginnings. They are a charity for the night, and I would like you to support our charity for the night. And it's It's our own way of giving back. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
Hello, last but not least, me. Ta-da! My name's Carly, as you can see, Carly Bond. I'm the head of operations at Best Beginnings. Best Beginnings are a maternity charity, and our mission is to give every child in the UK the best start in life. I've been with the organisation for the last 10 months, and I enjoy getting up every day and going to work. Why? Because I was drawn to Best Beginnings as a community development professional. I was telling John earlier that I've got a background in community health development, which was around working with communities, vastly different communities, around self-management, mental health, and health empowerment. And so that's really interesting because I'm interested in individual behaviour change and agency. But at Best Beginnings, I get the chance to do that at the beginning, preconception, pregnancy, and then the first 3 years of life for a child, which is this golden window of opportunity. Have you ever heard of this, the first 1,001 days, how important they are? Yeah? So basically, if you give parents the right information, sound medically evidenced advice, and help them to build confidence and have awareness and knowledge, they will make better decisions on behalf of their children. It will improve outcomes for that child's life across the board. Yeah? So it's not just me. We're a small organisation. There's like 12 members of staff. We all do double the amount of work of our roles because we're all passionate about driving change. What I'm going to show you in a minute is one of our films around maternal mental health, and you'll hear from some of the mums about what difference it's made for them. My call to action for you today are a few things. Firstly, it's a free resource that we offer. We create digital resources and early years resources. Our main one is this one called Baby Buddy. It's free, it's advert free, it will stay that way so that those who can't afford to pay will not be charged. And we've diversified our income model to make sure that it always remains that way. So the first thing I would say is tell your people about the app. If someone's thinking of having a child, if someone's pregnant, if someone's just had a baby that you know, friends or family, tell them about the app. It's free and it will help. You can share about us on social media. You can connect us to potential partners, commissioners, funders. Or you can just come and have a meeting or have a phone call and we can explore how we might be able to collaborate together. Last but not least, Chiz has got his own donation page, which you can look at that way and offer a little something that might help us out as well. But you may be able to offer something that's wider than money. Thank you, and I'll let the video speak for itself.
What we've started doing with new mums that we get that don't know about the app, we tell them about the app and encourage them to download it. It's free, so that's great. And, it creates awareness. I think that's the most important thing. If everybody's talking about it and everybody's aware, it destigmatizes, it takes away from that I'm alone, I'm suffering in silence. We know that suicide is the leading cause of death in young mums from 6 weeks postnatally up until a year. These women need specialist treatment, mental health. 10 to 15% of women develop antenatal or postnatal depression, postpartum psychosis, even though it's rare, it's really devastating. So it needs to be out there, it needs to be everywhere. We want to prevent people from young children from going into care. We know the impact to the mum, to the infants, on baby, bonding, attachment. The consequences are far lasting.
They're very important because if I had seen something like that when I was having my issue, I would have probably spoken up a lot sooner and started talking about how I was feeling before I got to the breaking point. Whereas other people now actually see these. Once they start seeing signs of it, they're probably more inclined to talk up about it rather than feeling, oh, actually, I shouldn't be feeling like this, or I'm not going to tell anyone because I'm going to be judged, when really and truly, no one should judge you. Having that support and talking about it actually really does help, because then you can find the right support and you can make it out.
Films like the Out of the Blue films, because they serve such an important purpose in showing women that they're not alone and taking the stigma away and just highlighting what can happen. I mean, I've heard today about some problems that I wasn't really aware of, and I didn't know about antenatal depression until I had it. And the more we know, the more we can recognise it in ourselves and in other people, and the more that society as a whole can help women who are experiencing these issues. So I think, the app and all the films are just a fantastic resource for women and health professionals to use.
So there you have it. Thank you very much, Carly, for that demonstration and for talking about your charity. Please, a round of applause for Carly. So we've come to the end of the evening, and I want to say a big thank you to everyone in here today. Really, really massive thank you to some of you who made some sacrifices, and I know someone here had to change her flight for today. So thank you for doing that. So just before we wrap up, I just wanted to say, yes, we've done this. It's the first of our events. It's what, this is just pretty much, a beginning for 2019. We've got a few things planned for 2019. I'm just going to share a little bit of that. So one of the things I'm doing right now is talking to schools. So I've been in discussion with some schools, and what I find is that the first time you hear about risk is mainly in the workplace. And for me, I think it's already too late. And we can see the consequences of that when you don't have the right mindset and you don't have that in early stages. So talking to Milton Keynes College at the moment, and there are a number of schools with earmarked to have conversations with to have that conversation. For the event, so we've got our next event in January. We're doing Lagos at some point next year, I think about March or April. Kuala Lumpur, we're in discussions with Malaysia, Dubai, and of course London. We're not missing out London because this is home for us. So that's what's in plan for next year. And my book is pretty much almost done. I had to let this event happen because I want that in my book. So I'm hoping that by 2019, by 2019 January, it will be a market. It's called Common Sense and Simplicity, Managing the Risk of Use. So it's for everyone in here. So that's what we have planned, and I just want to share that with you and leave one message. You can do whatever you set your heart to, really. Whatever idea you have, you can bring it to life. And Garry has shared some insight as to how we need to look internal before we can project our externals. So please, don't hold back from any ideas. Just go out and do it. Just have that idea. Don't be scared. Let your fear propel you to do right for you. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, I think there's some more drinks, so help yourself out. And, I'm not saying get drunk, don't get drunk. Just help yourself out. Man, thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for staying. I know you overran as well. Yeah. Oh, wait. Please, I forgot something. I need a big round of applause for